How would you like to make your first million? And today we have Peter with us, which is the founder and CEO of Fast Break and the former founder and CEO of Vendorful. So Peter, tell us, what are the 5 steps that tech entrepreneurs should be doing out there to make the first million?
Welcome to Unstoppable Podcast with Harry Sardinas, inspiring conversations with influential millionaires, investors, thought leaders, entrepreneurs who are making a massive difference with their innovative products and services, and sharing the challenges and wisdom of how they sold their first million.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. I'm very happy to be here, Harry. All right. Number 1. You've got to validate your idea before you start doing anything else. You've got ideas. You maybe have one really great idea. Maybe you have multiple ideas. Test them. Find people you can ask about them. Put up a website, put up a landing page, send out an email blast, interview people, whatever it is that you have to do to validate the idea before you commit to it, right? Before you start writing code, before you start investing money, just check that the idea is going to work. Check that people are interested in it. That's number 1. All right. Number 2, once you've validated it, this is a big one, I think, and overlooked. You have to commit to it. You have to cross this mental hurdle of saying, like, okay, like, I've got an idea. I'm going to try and test it out. I'm going to kind of do this on the side. Like, I don't believe in side projects. I mean, fine, like have side hustles, have side projects, whatever. The point of having a side project or a side hustle, if you are thinking about being an entrepreneur, is to validate your idea. Okay, like if you have enough validation that you think this could be something big and something worth doing,
you have got to
commit to it. You have to be all in on it. Absolutely. And I'm not saying that's easy. It is hard. It is very, very hard. Yeah, it means, leaving a job, possibly leaving a safe career, taking a real plunge. But if you're going to actually succeed at it, you need to commit. Okay. So that's number 2. Number 3, seems obvious, but I think it's worth stating. You must actually build the offering, right? Whether we're talking about a product or a service, whatever it is, you have to build it. You have to make it. And the goal here, to emphasize, everyone talks about the MVP, the minimum viable product, and really emphasis on the M, minimal, smallest thing that you can do, where you're even a little bit embarrassed to ask somebody to pay you money for it, but that you can plausibly ask someone to pay you for, right? Strip away everything. We've all got big dreams. I've got big visions for my product. But when we started out, when we first launched it, in hindsight, it barely did anything, right? It did one thing, but that was enough. That's enough to go out there and say, hey, look, if you've got this problem, we can do this one thing. We can solve that one problem in this very, very narrow way. It doesn't have a lot of, features and bells and whistles. We can do this one thing and, start collecting some money for that. But you've got to put it out there. And, like I said, you're going to be embarrassed by your first product. If you're not embarrassed by what you first put out there, then you've waited too long. You just got to do it. Okay. So then number 4, you have to market it. And there are different ways of marketing things. There's, a whole books and, careers built around marketing, but pick a channel, pick a way to approach it. And again, all in, just, whether that's going to be website, whether that's going to be LinkedIn, whether that's going to be speaking, word of mouth, cold calling, you have got to get your business out there. It is definitely not the case that if you build it, people are going to find it. They will not find it. You need to be proactive about getting your product or service out there in the minds of your target audience. And I've got lots of thoughts about how to do that. I know what works for me. It's going to be different for different people, but the most important thing, about putting it out there is you pick your channel, pick your avenue, and go. And then finally, number 5, and this to me is actually the most important, because this is what gets you from all the stuff is sort of precursor. You've got your product, you've built something, you've committed to it, and now you're starting to get the word out. Your first customers are the most valuable asset you can possibly have. And the most important thing that you will get from them is learning. You must obsess over them, right? Like time invested in learning from your customers and talking to your customers is the most valuable use of your time at the beginning, right? Like if this is going to be a big company, if this is going to be a big product, if you're going to get to $1 million of revenue, if you're going to get to 10 million, 100 million, those first handful of customers, they're not going to get the dollars there, right? What they're going to do is they are going to lay the foundation of your knowledge and your learning to get you there. And so like, it almost doesn't matter how much money you make off them. You must acquire those customers and you must obsess over them. And if you think you're obsessing too much, I am sure that you are not. Just you cannot obsess too much over your earliest customers. Those are my 5 steps.
Peter, I love your 5 steps. Clearly, they are one of the most spectacular 5 steps that I hear in this podcast in terms of building a successful tech company. So clearly, you know what you're talking about, and clearly you exited your company. So my first question is going to be, how come you have come up with these 5 spectacular steps to make $1 million in a tech space? So how do you learn? I mean, I get it that you exit your company, but did you knew all this when you start your first tech? How you know this? Tell us.
No, I've learned the hard way. So I'm telling you, I'm telling the listeners, yeah, so that you can, so that they can learn from my mistakes, things that I did wrong along the way. Look, it wasn't all mistakes. I will say there are definitely some resources out there that were incredibly helpful to me. Some books in particular, The Lean Startup, always a classic. And even if you think you know the message of the Lean Startup, you should actually read it, because some of what the book actually says, it will surprise you if all you know about it is kind of this idea of like, MVP and, invalidate and blah, blah, blah. Really worth reading the book. But then, the rest of it, I think, and then there are more books. I can talk more about books if you want, but the rest of it is, learning lessons the hard way, making mistakes. I'll tell you one, 2 things in particular that I wish I had done better the first time around, in which I am laser focused on not repeating second time around. Number 1 is the minimal aspect in the minimal viable product.
Everybody in that one. This is no.
Yeah, so I definitely have made the mistake of going too broad too early. Thinking we should like expand, offer more stuff, and and this time around, just like what is the least we can do at all points in time? Like how can we strip down? Just do the least and do it really great, right? Because that's the thing. Like it is true that every big company, every big software company at least, offers multiple products, but you're not going to get to become one of those companies unless you do one thing really, really well. So just focus on doing that one thing incredibly well, and narrow. So that's one thing. And then the second thing is, something that we did right the first time, which led to Venderful's success, was obsessing over the customer. But I think
very good. Well done.
Well, yeah, it was good. I think we didn't even do it enough, though. That's the thing. Like I'm just laser focused on that right now. Just like obsessing over my customers' problems, talking to them every day. Can't do it enough.
Brilliant. Because Peter, look, there are a few things. Yeah, when I started my first business, in property, I'm telling you about 17 years ago. I got a property business and I was renting rooms. Yeah. So then I had the room. So I opened a shop to my first client. And I said, it was a boy. I said, look, what do you think about the room? Do you want to take it? And the guy said, well, Harry, you know what? The room, a little bit old, need a little bit of painting, This room, I'm not going to take it. Man, so I go there. I need to rent the room. I need the money. So I go there. I never painted any room in my life, anything. So I went there. I buy the shop. Yeah, I'm speaking with the shop owner. I talked to the shop owner. Listen, I never painted a room in my life. And the shop owner telling me, yes, I know. Because the stupid question you're asking, I can't that you never paint. Say, man, give me a paint. I'm gonna paint the room. So I went there, I paint the room, I paint myself, the floor. Big disaster. Anyway, room painting. Second client come again. I said, look, do you want to take the room? Look, paint it. Yeah, clean, right? And the girl said, well, but it's a little bit cold, this room. Yeah, it's clean, but there's nothing here. No, I'm not gonna take it. I'm like, man. So I go to IKEA. These bed sheets.
Oh yeah.
They sell. They're pink, orange, and red. Nothing more warm than that. Yeah? I live in London, so I pick the more colorful thing, and then I pick a painting, black and white, just with a little bit of red as well. And I think on the way I passed by the Chinese shop, on £1 I buy a basil with flower. And then the third girl come and said, look, this is the room. Do you want to take it? And the girl said, yes. Do you understand? So it comes to the point that in the end of the day, it was not the product that I thought that I have an idea that people will buy for the price that I was offering. They were telling me what they wanted and at what price. And by me listening to they shape my product. Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is how I managed to sell it. Yeah.
Yes.
And then, Peter, we find in this podcast, we interview already 500 multimillionaires. No one yet have tell me, Harry, you know what? I invented the product at the beginning, and my first idea was exactly what I sold in the end. Oh, yeah. I haven't found anybody yet. Yeah. Still, and we see this in tech a lot. I'm enhancing in this because in these 5 steps that you share, when you have experience, you exit the company, you know what you're talking about. Why we see in the tech space, everybody, putting all the money, energy, and effort developing this type of product, this type of code that is going to save the world. They remortgage the house. They ask all the money to friends and family. And once they have a big elephant, huge, and all the resources are exhausted and everything, is when they want to make it market fit. That's at this moment what they want to start to show it to people with no money, no resources, everything is out there, and a big elephant that nobody knows if people want it or not. So why, Peter? Why 80-90% of all the tech people you talk about, they don't follow in what you just share? They don't want to listen. They think that they know better. There is ego. What is going on? Because I'm sure if they follow what the 5 step you just shared with me, I can guarantee that they can be successful.
Well, here's the thing about entrepreneurs, right? You don't start a company and think that you're going to succeed at it unless you're an optimist, right? You have to be optimistic in order to take that plunge and to invest your time and energy in starting a company from scratch. And so I'm very sympathetic. A much smarter man than me, Sam Jacobs, the founder of Pavilion, said that starting a company is not a virtue test, right? You're not a bad person if you fail. You're not a good person if you succeed. It is a challenge, and it is easy to go wrong because it just requires so many things to go right. And as a founder, you are predisposed as an optimist, right, to maybe miss some of the things that are going. So I hate to say that if somebody doesn't achieve the goal they set out to do, that they've failed. Like, fine, they didn't hit their goal, but like, they took the plunge, they took the risk. They started,
learn, for sure.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it's I'm very empathetic to anyone who goes on this journey. And I guess I should also, look, there's a lot of advice out there, and it's hard to know what to listen to. And maybe I don't know what I'm talking about. I don't know.
No, you do. No, you do. I can tell that you do. Yeah. Don't even say that. Yeah. You do know what you're talking about. Yeah. I wish.
Appreciate that. But yeah, look, it's hard to figure out what to listen to as a founder. I know that too.
Yeah, but Peter, the thing is, because the other thing, in this broadcast,
Yeah.
105, 106 people that come to this 5 step how to make a fair million, they're actually tech founders, yeah. And the other
Yeah.
ones are property investors, yeah. And people might have
Yeah,
into
okay.
the wrong assumption that it's very easy to become a multimillionaire in the tech space, and in
No.
the property space, they listen Harry podcast and say, "Man, everyone of 5 or 6 guys that tech people or property people, you know what? It's easy to make a million in tech and in property, so let's do it." And the reality, because we have to speak the truth here, is that we only hear about the 2% that make it.
Correct.
The other 98% that we find, like I said, a lot of empathy because of trying. It doesn't work. They fail, and they fail mainly. Yeah, and this is the direct question I want to ask you, Peter, because we want to help the people out there. Yeah. And we want to hear, especially the tech entrepreneurs, because I know the suffering, I know the pain, and I see a lot of pitch deck. We see a lot of people that come to us to try to help them. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is my theory, right?
Mhm.
My
Okay.
theory is that you become a tech entrepreneur, yeah?
Uh-huh.
And now you go there with the wrong assumption that because you're a great software developer, yeah, you know about business.
Right. Sure.
That and then when you talk about this, then they will tell you, no, this is different. My business is different. Yeah. This is a tech business, have nothing to do with traditional business. The more I talk with tech people, the more I realize that tech business is same like all the business. The more I talk, is the most. I mean, is the same principle. And number two, they because they are geniuses, yeah, and they are amazing, and they can make a lot of money writing this code, right? They go to this mindset that they know better. And then you have Peter here, they already exit the company, they already been through the journey, giving you 5 steps, and then the 5 steps that he's sharing have nothing to do with what you're doing. You keep raising money, you keep developing, you keep building this elephant, you keep not talking with the people in the market, you keep not doing, and then you complain what moving forward. So Peter, tell us or let me ask you a direct question to you. In what moment you surrender your ego and say, you know what? I had to let this Peter, I know everything go, and I had to be flexible, and I had to surrender, and I had to listen to the market, and I had to create an amazing culture in my company. Yeah, that's the other thing as well. Yeah, and create an amazing culture in my company so I can succeed. So when you decided to surrender your ego that you know everything and you actually going to become a leader, and look at you thinking, because I know it's hard. Yeah, this one is tough.
Yeah. Well, look, you raised a really good point, which is there's a huge difference between building a great product and building a great business. And I think one of the things that I have had to learn, and actually, look, honestly, this is actually probably now my favorite part of being a founder, is I've had to accept that I don't know anything, right? And
very difficult,
and really, very difficult. But I've really embraced this idea that, look, I'm 47 years old. Okay, I am.
My age.
I am.
You're from my.
Oh, cool. Hey.
Yeah.
I
lost my hair building business. That's the difference. Learning the hard way.
I'm sure when you were young, just like me, you looked at people who were in their late 40s, early 50s, and you thought they're finished products, right? They know everything they're going to know, right? And as I've gotten to this age, I realize, like, no, I'm the older I get, the more I realize how much more I have to learn and how many more good years of learning I have in front of me. And, I think that the people I observe who are most successful as entrepreneurs really embrace that learning mindset, that they're never done learning. They don't know anything. And obviously they know a lot of things, but what they focus on is the things they don't know, right? And they're constantly asking questions. And the way this ties back to running a company versus building a product is, look, if you are a great product engineer, or you've got a great idea, or you were successful in another line of business, and you decide you want to start a software company, say, there are going to be things you don't know about. Maybe you were really great at product. You don't know anything about sales. Maybe you were really great at sales. You don't know anything about engineering. Maybe you were really great at coding. You don't know anything about managing people and building a team, right? And the most successful entrepreneurs I see are the ones that really embrace those areas where they don't know things and seek to learn and seek to close those gaps.
Yeah, and for that, Peter, is the entrepreneur had to surrender and to be flexible and to admit that. I know that it's hard because created. I mean, we all entrepreneurs, we all have ego. Otherwise, we won't build in the company in the first place. This ego is there. It's actually one of the main things that actually make us who we are, right? That we believe that we can do something amazing that can change the world, right? And that's why we become entrepreneurs. So the ego is there. Otherwise, we don't open a company. Now, at some point, we have to, like I said, surrender. And especially to the things that you don't know. And I admit that there are things that you don't know. Not only that you don't know. Things that you don't know. Things that you don't know that you don't know, and worse, things that you don't know that you don't know that you don't know, things that you don't even know that because of that. In my path in business, if I tell you stories, I will depress you. You will start, building companies and so on. So the whole point is that if and it's more with the mindset, right? You have to. I think that the whole idea is that you have to. If you really love your business, you really love your product, you need to put it before yourself, before your ego, before your person. It's not about Peter anymore. It's about the product. It's about what can do for people. The other question I want to ask you, Peter, is about culture as well. A lot of tech entrepreneurs that I interview in this podcast, when I ask them, if you want to do all over again, what would you do better? And everybody tell me, man, if I knew it's gonna take me 10 times longer and 10 times more money, I will pay attention, Harry, to culture. Yeah, and especially from the early beginning, from this moment that we find the first client and we have a small team. And so, what's your view, Peter, in culture and how this help you to succeed? Because it's important as well, and nobody teach you anything. Nobody came and teach you, look, Peter, before you open your company, be careful. You need to have these few people, pay attention to the culture, because these are key people that we have to. Nobody came to teach you that, right? So how you learn it?
Yeah. Well, I got lucky there. I think that I had good mentors earlier in my career. So I spent the first part of my career, my very first job out of college, I was a management consultant. And I got really lucky that I worked at a great place with great people. I had good mentors who taught me a lot when I knew nothing about business. I mean, I'm 22 years old. No 22-year-old knows anything about it. And then I did that for a few years, and then I worked on Wall Street at a hedge fund for 13 years. And same thing. I got really lucky to work with great people there, and just to see a lot of things go right and wrong. I mean, I was working through the financial crisis, which was a crazy time, and also through the hedge fund boom before that, and then kind of the resurrection afterwards. It was ups and downs, incredible stress, and people working under incredible stress. Really, really smart people. Sometimes succeeding, sometimes failing, and I learned a lot of lessons from that experience about what makes people want to work together and want to succeed and to be more than the sum of the parts, right? So I don't know if I have all the answers on culture, but from the time my co-founder and I started Vendorful, we were very much on the same page on what we wanted the culture to be and how we wanted to support people and how we wanted to work with people inside the organization. And it worked well for us.
Amazing. Well done.
Yeah, my approach is very much like I like to hire people who are mature enough to take chances, to sort of manage their own days and weeks, figure out what they to give them responsibility, and they can let them figure out how to accomplish responsibilities. And that doesn't work for everybody. It also doesn't necessarily work for all kinds of employees. Like that's not going to necessarily work if we were hiring a bunch of kids out of college, that probably wouldn't work. So we've tended to hire people who are a little later in their career, a little more experienced, and really select for those kinds of skills. And that's worked for us. But look, there's lots of different ways to build a culture, and that's just what I've done.
Yeah. And then, Peter, I need to ask you this because, after you build the tech company, man, and you exit and you achieve everything that nobody's achieving, now you're back. Yeah, you should be in Hawaii, in the beach, enjoying your life. What make you think that's a good idea to come back? You should really love what you're doing now. You should be crazy about it. Tell me a little bit more about that. Why you back in the tech again? Yeah, it was an amazing experience, the first one.
I mean, I do like it. I'm certainly too young to retire. Yeah. I don't see that for myself in the near future. I like what I'm doing. I like the work.
Clearly, you love it.
Yeah. And look, the other thing about it is just the macro environment for tech right now. It is a really interesting time to be building software, right? Like, the old adage, software is eating the world, but now AI is eating software. And I think this is as exciting a time, if not more so, than the dawn of the internet. So, late 90s, early 2000s, the internet boom, and also then the cloud service revolution kind of in the, around 2008 to 2012. Those were sort of the big transformational moments in tech in my adult lifetime. There were ones before that as well. And AI is the third that I've seen in my career so far. And I just want to be a part of it. I want to be building software now and be in the market when this transformation is happening. I can't imagine doing anything else right now.
Yeah, the AI, Peter, is more than the .com and the cloud. I think is literally a revolution. Yeah,
it could be.
It's not like we hear in the tech space, that the flavor of the day, sometimes the .com, sometimes is the cloud, sometimes is this, sometimes, and then things are shiny all the time. But this AI technology actually is, we're talking about a revolution, how we will operate in the future. And this is just showing the surface. And it's unbelievable. I can tell you of my own experience. I remember 17 years ago when I have my first business, I need to write a letter. English not my first language. It was taking me 2 days to write the thing. It was so draining, and the spelling, and 2 days trying to write this perfect. Ole Frank, can you read the letter? Now you go to ChatGPT and in less than 15 seconds you have the letter. Unbelievable.
Yes, it's wild. Things that seemed
wild,
like a few years ago are now just trivial. It's incredible how fast it's changed.
Yeah. So then, Peter, let's go back to the tell us a little bit about your new product.
Yeah, sure. So this actually grew out of our experience at Venderful. So Venderful was a helped procurement organizations manage their suppliers and select suppliers by running RFPs and running questionnaires and evaluating their suppliers. When we were selling a procurement solution, we used to respond to RFPs all the time. And for those people who don't know, an RFP stands for request for proposal. It's basically a formal bid process where a buyer of some product or service sends out a document and they want some number of vendors to complete that document and bid on the business in a very structured way. And they're going to compare the responses and do a formal. It's extremely time consuming. It is not at all like a traditional sales process. You're not sort of engaging in meetings and discovery and building a buying consensus. It's like, no, you're completing a document and it's going to be evaluated by a committee that you don't get access to. It's frustrating for a lot of sellers. So what FastBreak does is it uses our customers' own content. So all the things that they've written in the past about their products or services, any RFPs they've completed in the past, their marketing materials, product documentation, whatever it is. And when you receive a new RFP, an opportunity to bid on business, we use all that information and leverage AI to help you complete it, complete a draft.
Wow.
Yeah, in minutes. I mean, like the average RFP takes something like 2-person weeks just to write the content, right?
Wow.
And we can do that in a few minutes. So it
And
radically
also
cuts
you
down.
can do it good, Peter, because you can evaluate the whole, all the documents and everything, that the history of the company with the AI and learning thing, and you actually can produce a document that people can actually win the contract because of this. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, so you touched on something that is kind of a side benefit. People are concerned about, AI hallucinations and the accuracy of AI. And it's a real concern. And we've invested a lot of time in minimizing those, if not eliminating them. But one of the things they don't talk about is humans make mistakes on these documents too. And our data shows
you lose the contract.
Exactly. And our data, our internal data shows that despite concerns about AI hallucinations, the AI generated content is more accurate than human generated content.
Even that, because the AI also, the content, what happened is, and this is a point that I want to touch, right? Which is, AI is like a kid, right? If you teach good things to the AI, you're gonna have a good kid, yeah. But if you if you teach to the kid bad things, then you're gonna have a very bad kid. So at the end of the day, AI is actually a form, but at the end of the day, is the database, is the knowledge of the people working in the organization, what this engine going to learn effectively to produce that thing. And so, Peter, you guys have an amazing databases, and the machine learning is learning from this all the time, correct?
Yes, exactly. So but to be clear, our customers' data, it's segregated, it's private to them. Like they upload their data. Like no other, we're not training a general model on their data. We're using their content to inform a model for them for their own responses. So it's very data governance is a big issue in AI right now. Software, we're very focused on, and that's our top concern for our customers.
Yeah. So then at the end, they will fill the form, and then the people who will have a better chance to get the contract, right?
Yes. Yeah. Exactly. And here's the thing about it. So what's really interesting is that when we started building it, right, when I had the idea, I thought okay, this is going to be it's an AI tool. We're just going to complete these questionnaires, and it's just going to make it go super fast. And the AI piece is the interesting and valuable part. What I've learned now that we have a product, and going back to my 5 things, number 5, obsessing over your customers, right? What I've learned from all the customer conversations we have is that what the AI is providing for them is it's freeing up their time so that they can actually collaborate more on their response. So, you get these RFP questionnaires, and it's 200, 500, sometimes even 1,000 or more questions.
Wow.
Most of them.
Questions.
I've seen them as long as 2,500 questions. I'm not joking.
Wow.
Huge. It's a huge undertaking to respond to those. But the thing is that most of those questions, you've answered them dozens of times before. You're not going to win or lose the business based on those questions. They're just checking the box. And the time you take to complete all those hundreds or thousands of questions is time that's taking away from the aspects of it that are actually going to win you the business.
I understand.
Exactly. 5% of the RFP that actually really matters for them making the decision. And so what we see from our customers is, because we cut the time on all this boring, low value stuff, they can really focus on those aspects, right? And the AI is never going to replace the humans for that. The AI doesn't know their customers like they do. It doesn't know their buyers like they do. And so it's really freeing them up to invest their time in the areas where it's going to add the most value to winning the business.
And on top of that, they're gonna have a draft to work on. They're not gonna have an empty form. Yeah, that's very, very helpful. Because it's when the question is there and the paper is in blank. Oh my God! But when you have a draft, an idea, you can say, "Oh, this is." Even you can say, "Well, I need to improve in this. This is way more deeper than that I see." But it's very very fulfilling when you don't see the blank. Yeah, when there is something there, a draft to give you an idea, right? Because sometimes, and again, something goes, somebody because of tiredness, you write the wrong answer, you can lose the business. And the other thing as well is that, like you said, Peter, if it's gonna take 2 weeks to one person to fill one, how many can you do in a month? Or you can do 2, no? Because the employee. But now if you have this tool, you can fill 5, 10, 20 in a month. Exactly. So, it's something called probability.
Exactly. It gives you is to bid on more opportunities, to have a better chance of winning those opportunities. So, really we're selling growth. That's the goal.
Very good. Very good. So, Peter, if people want to learn more about what you guys are doing about this new product, can you share with us how people can find you guys and how the process works? Are you looking for funding? You're very investable, yeah?
So 2 ways. Soon. I want a few more referenceable customers. I think our early customers are very promising, and I think look, that's another warning from the first time around. I want to raise funds at the right time, and so not on the time that makes sense for us. So. Yeah. Easiest way to find me is on LinkedIn. Just, Peter Bonney. I'm easy to find. And to go to visit the company website, it's fastbreakrfp.com.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Peter. So then, Peter, last advice for what piece of advice can you give to those founders, right? Mm-hmm. That's so attached to their emotions, to the product, to whatever they build, that they still don't want to change. The other day in this podcast, somebody asked me, Harry, what is the fastest way between point A and B? And I said, the straight line. And they told me, Harry, no, it's the path of less resistance. Think about the river. Yeah. And so what advice do you have for the tech entrepreneurs out there that they want to achieve want to be, they want to go from one A to B in the straight line without choosing the path of less resistance, which is exactly what you share in your 5 steps? What can you tell them?
That's a great question. I think the biggest thing is this, right? If you are already, like, if you haven't started yet, like, that's a different situation. If you're already on this path and you are working hard and you're not achieving the results that you want, which I think is what you're talking about. If that's where you are, like, you're not going to achieve the results you want by either doing the same thing or doing mostly the same thing, but trying to make it a little bit better. Like, you've got to step back and change something radically about what you're doing. There's a great book, 10x is easier than 2x, right? And I'm not going to do it justice, but if I could simplify it to one sentence, it's that, to try and like 2x your results, you're going to try to like do a little bit better. You're going to try to incrementally, you're going to work harder. You're going to try to get a little more efficient. You can't get to 10x your current revenue, current situation, by just tweaking around the edges. It requires a complete shift in how you are approaching your business. And so if you are stuck, not getting the results you want, like, let that liberate you. Like, let go of whatever you're doing. Like, free yourself from this idea that, like, well, if I just work a little bit harder, if I just keep doing the same things, because that's not going to get you there. That's not what's working for you. It's not working for you. You've got to find a totally different way to approach the problem. And it's going to be different for everybody. So I don't have a specific piece of advice there. because it really depends on your situation and what you're trying to sell. But I can definitely say, don't just keep doing more of what you're doing.
Thank you so much, Peter. And with that note, I want to thank you, Peter, for this broadcast. I really appreciate it. I think you're brilliant. Keep doing what you do. You clearly love it. This journey is very exciting. It's very exciting. You definitely don't get bored. This is
no.
Nobody's gonna hear, oh, Peter is bored. No, you're not gonna have that if you've been there. Absolutely not. So it's exciting, and I think like I said, the other day I was listening yesterday to Steve Jobs that he was saying that you really need to have passion and love for what you're doing, because any rational person will give up, So you have to be so in love with the product and so purpose driven that you won't quit, because if you were irrational, you will quit. So this is so thank you so much for empowering our entrepreneurs, especially tech entrepreneurs, for being a role model for them to share an honest feedback that things are possible. But I think that if the tech entrepreneurs listen more, role models, people that already have achieved their goals, they're, you don't need to be in this podcast. You don't need to share what you know. You're just doing this just to help people out there to, to share your experience. And then, they should be taking more in consideration, because at the end of the day, the problem with tech is not like other businesses. When tech, you make a mistake and it's expensive, it's really difficult to back up again. This is not when something goes wrong in tech and it's 50K, 100K, $250,000, $1 million, so the mistakes are same like in property. When something goes wrong, it's difficult to back up. So thank you so much, Peter, and for all our listeners. See you in our next episode of Unstoppable, how brave entrepreneurs like Peter break the wall and make the first million. And now it's going again. Unbelievable. Bye for now.
Follow us for more interviews with world's most influential, audacious entrepreneurs that overcame challenges and adversity, providing you with the blueprint of how they sold their first million so you can grow your business exponentially.